that all these things we've put in place and said, oh, okay, I have more time in my schedule. I have more space in my house. Maybe I've taken up a new chair for reading or something like that. Maybe I've put time in, as you said, for the gym, or we've had special nights cooking and different ways and things like that. Don't abandon all of the things. Yes, things will look a little differently when your child comes home and you want to make new spaces, but hold on. Don't abandon everything because, again, later that's just going to lead to more resentment about your child being there and all the things you've given up about yourself. So don't abandon yourself. Don't abandon all those routines.
Hi, and welcome to Beyond Empty Nest. I'm your host, Jody Silverman, speaker, mentor, and Chief Dare Officer at Moms Who Dare. Every Thursday, I'll share stories of midlife transformation, happiness tips, and dare you to see the opportunities waiting for you so that you can make this next chapter even better than the last. If you're ready to dare, I'm ready to dare with you. Let's get into today's episode. There is definitely excitement when the kids come home for winter break. And there's also a tension. So today's episode is all for the moms out there who are getting ready and are super excited about welcoming their adult children back into their home for the holiday season. And to help me do that, I brought back an audience favorite. Adina Tovell is back at Beyond Empty Nest. Adina is an executive coach, founder of the People Leadership Institute, and personal development expert. And for over 25 years, she has been guiding people to better understand who they are, what matters most to them, and refine how they want to show up in the world. And in addition to all of that, Adina is my friend, a fellow nest mom. She's right in the trenches with all of us. And she is one of those moms that I commiserate with, and we support each other through all the ups and downs of navigating this midlife empty nest chapter. Adina was also my guest in season 1, episode 7, titled Empty Nest Grief is Real, 3 Strategies for Navigating the Sadness. We will link that show in the show notes below because it's one of our most downloaded and listened to episodes. So when I knew that I wanted to do an episode to support you again, moms, when your kids are leaving home and now they're coming back from college for winter break, I picked up the phone and I called Adina and I invited her to jump right back in the Zoom seat to have a candid and honest conversation about what not to do when your kids come home from college. Hey, Adina, welcome back.
Hey, Jody, it's so great to be here. I love being in the Zoom seat. There is no better place to be.
Oh, I know. Did we ever think we would be saying, "Oh, yay, we're back in the Zoom"? But no, I knew, I believe this episode is usually a solo episode that I do on my own. And yet I didn't want to do this one on my own. I really wanted to invite you back because I love your insights and we do support each other outside of the Zoom room. And I thought, well, who better to help me than Adina? And, your episode where you shared really important strategies on navigating grief and empty nest was a really important episode. So I thought, I'm not going to do this. I'm not flying solo. I'm gonna team up with Adina again and bring her back. So thank you for saying yes.
Oh, absolutely. And thanks for asking.
Yeah. So, when we were talking about the topic, we knew it was going to be, like how can we best support our audience of moms in welcoming their children back into the home? And so let's start. And we have different points of views here. We have from the kids' perspective, from the mom's perspective. We're going to get into what not to do. And then we're going to also give you really great tips on what you can do so that usually it's a month, it's 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Some kids are home for up to 6 weeks or longer so that you can make this a time that's really nice and special and not stressful, not filled with angst and disappointment and stress. So let's start with the kids. Understanding, who they are now, because for most of us, our kids have been gone for at least 4 months, some even longer, 5 months. And now they're coming home.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this piece about when the kids leave, time does this weird thing because since the kids are off somewhere, for us, it almost feels like hardly any time has passed. And we think about where they were with us before. But let's talk about the kids, right? The
Yeah.
kids have been on their own for these 4 or 5 months. They've been choosing when to go out and when to come home. They've been making their decisions. They've been keeping their room however they choose to keep it. They've
Right.
been eating whenever and however and all of those things. And they haven't really had to ask a lot of permission for any of it, especially from us. So that's one of the key things that I think is just so different about the kids' experience right now.
No, and it is true because they don't have anybody saying, "Can you put your phone down and go to sleep? It's 4 in the morning," or "Why were
Right.
you up to 2 in the morning?" And they don't have that, and when they come home, that's a really hard place for mom to be, not to shift back into looking and seeing her kids maybe doing things she's not really comfortable watching them do because they're not the best and healthiest thing for them. So, really good point for everybody to hear is that and I always say it like that your son or daughter is not the same person that you dropped off 4 months ago because of everything that you just said, Adina. So really, really good point. So
I also think, like, I want to add a little bit, right, a little bit more to that, Judy, right? Because there's another piece to that too, is that they've been doing all of this stuff on their own and getting wildly independent, at least in their own minds, right? And they have been doing things more independently. At the same time, a lot of that has been hard, right? A lot of that comes with a lot of stress that kids are holding a lot together. They've had to hold up, like getting my laundry done, getting my food done, navigating the world, buying the things that somebody else used to buy for me, and all of that. And they can also be a little exhausted from it. And there might be some kind of relief that comes from being home. And so I think this experience, and I know what I've experienced too, is this like incredible flip flopping back and forth between I'm bold and self assured and I know what I'm doing and I got this and I know who I am in the world and what I need to do. And then being totally childlike and like wanting, just everything to be the way it was. And it can feel a little crazy making, I think, for moms. So I want to point it out because I think it's so true. And we have to just name it out loud that they're going to do this like flip flopping back and forth. And we're going to be maybe looking both ways and say, well, who are you and where are you?
absolutely. On the one hand, leave me alone. I've got this and I'm an adult now. Who are you to talk to me like I'm back in high school? But on the other hand, like, you know, it's almost like they're on vacation at a hotel. Please do my laundry. I'm tired and I don't want to take care of everything because you're right. It's exhausting adulting. Adulting is exhausting and they don't want to admit it. Our kids have egos just like everybody else. But yeah, so the flip flop is a big deal because it can leave moms feeling very confused and maybe open up that crack a little bit for mom to jump in and be 150% do this, do that. Why are you doing that? Versus understanding they just want a little bit of the perks of their mom, which is food readily available. My laundry just shows up all folded neatly on my bed. Everything is nice and organized. So it's important because there are both sides to that. So that was important.
Yeah, and maybe just a little bit of that, just comforting. And
Yeah.
unlike, I mean, I think about it when you're driving in a car and you get to a traffic light, like you get, oh, red, green, yellow. It tells you what you're supposed to be doing at a certain point. But that's not going to happen. Your kids are not going to have little signs that say, oh, comfort and be mom now, like I'm 15 again, or no, stay away because now
Right.
I'm adult now. And so it's almost like we have to look a little bit harder because those things are also going to be happening. Approach with caution, approach with ease, stay away, right? Red, yellow, and green are all there. But without the actual traffic light to tell us, we have to be pretty tuned in and we have to start to pay attention.
Love the traffic light analogy. Love that. Love that. All right. So those are the two sides of what could happen from the kid's perspective.
Right.
What about the moms? Because we are not just as much as I say, your kids are not the same kids that you dropped off in August to college. You are not the same mom. You're not the same household that they left either. There's been a lot of shifts and changes, usually after a 4-month period within the household. So let's address some.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think mom's got her own flip flop going on too. I
Oh, I
know when my
did.
kids were, I
I
know
did.
I did too. On the one hand, my kids were coming home and I was so excited. Really, I did. I have in my mind, oh my gosh, we're going to be able to sit and do the things we did before. And I had these visions and these hopes of all this couch time and movie time and all these things we were going to do. And I missed them and I wanted to feel connected. And at the same time, like, the house was cleaner, there weren't things strewn all over the place all of the time. Oh, I got to kind of actually do things on my own schedule and have my own routine, whether that was exercise or how we ate or when we went out and things like that. And so a lot has changed also for mom in terms of schedule, for mom in terms of lifestyle, prioritization, all of those things. And there's this pull of wanting to almost recreate what was there before. So mom can also feel, I'm guessing many of you are going to feel it too, like we both did, this flip flopping back and forth between, oh my gosh, I want this, I want what I had before. And wait a second, what just happened to what I've had for the last 4 months?
Yeah, and that's okay. It's okay, right? We were just talking right before I hit record. Those of you who do follow me know I pull oracle cards. I tap into spirit and angels for guidance. And, it's making me think the oracle card that I pulled the other day was it's okay to feel what you need to feel. And I don't believe that most moms allow themselves to feel the flip flop of I'm feeling a little bit like my children are invading my space now. Like that for a lot of moms can be like, well, you're selfish. You're a mom. You shouldn't. You should be readily available. And no, 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 no. I mean, I used to feel myself get anxious. I was excited they were coming home, but I found myself racing to get everything done because I felt in my mind, this joy. I told myself they're going to disrupt my schedule and I shouldn't feel that way. I should be available. And until I really realized I was the one doing that to myself, my children weren't. So it's important to know that it's really the same thing for both the kids and the moms. It's that, maybe you do, maybe you have a new gym routine. I have this Friday tennis thing. That's not negotiable for me. I think we did talk about this once on a previous episode or a previous recording at some point that you need to honor the things that you do for yourself. But I'm jumping ahead. So the point here is that, everybody's a little bit different than they were 4 months ago, both the individual person and your household. And the other thing we didn't mention is that if you have younger children at home, their lives are going to be impacted by this
Right.
change as well in positive ways and also maybe a little disruption. So those are important to understand that there will be flip flopping and it's about keeping your wits about you, not getting caught up in the emotion, right? And bringing it down to, okay, what's happening here and understanding it. So it can be exhausting. It can be very exhausting because, it can leave you feeling very frustrated and unfulfilled with the experience that you're having with your son or daughter at home. And that's the point of this, of our conversation today, is so that when it's time to send them back for their final semester at college, you feel really good and fulfilled and like, wow, check out my son or daughter. And even, yeah, hey, look at me. I'm doing really well, during this empty nest. So all right, leading into anything else you want to say about the moms before we go into the big topic of what not to do?
So, Jody, I just want to take another moment to focus on something you said about the kids who are still at home. So, let's take another 20 seconds on that or so, because sometimes the kids who are at home, sometimes they've gotten to take up a little bit more space that wasn't previously there when the older siblings were there. And now they've gotten used to that. They've gotten used to more of your attention, perhaps. They've gotten used to different routines. So, I think it was really important that you said that that's part of the awareness equation for moms is how this does affect everybody else in the household. So I wanted to just reemphasize what you brought up there.
No, no, it's important stuff. All right, so the title of this episode is "What Not to Do When Your Kids Come Home from College," and this is experience. This is our experience. This is our experience of our friends. And here's what I love about Beyond Empty Nest and the Moms Who Dare community is that it's full of moms who are where you're going, where and they've been there. So we are your playbook. These are suggestions. At the end of the day, do what you feel is right. But this is the playbook we're not handed because there is no such thing as a motherhood playbook. So that's why this community is so special because we get to learn from those moms who have, blazed the trail and been in the trenches before us. So let's start with one of the not to dos. I know you like this one. Don't expect things to be as they always were because your child is now home in their high school room.
Yeah. And I think, this really requires an awareness that relationships are an ever evolving thing. And we're used to, up until kids went to college, we're used to being witness and part of that evolution because they've been doing it under our roof, right? Whether they went from preschool to elementary to middle to high school, we were there for all the transformations and evolutions. And now things have evolved without us being present to it. And so this is just a really sound reminder to be aware that things have changed. They've changed for you, they've changed for them. And so don't expect them to have stayed the same. Instead, I'm wearing my curiosity necklace here and with my question mark. Get curious. Look at your child with eyes of curiosity to say, how have they changed and evolved over these months?
No, love that. Love that. Important. Okay. Second, not to do. Don't, I love this one. This is my favorite. Don't abandon all the new routines or schedules that you have created for yourself. I have so much
Yeah,
about that.
I know, right? That all these things we've put in place and said, oh, okay, I have more time in my schedule. I have more space in my house. Maybe I've taken up a new chair for reading or something like that. Maybe I've put time in, as you said, for the gym, or we've had special nights cooking and different ways and things like that. Don't abandon all of the things. Yes, things will look a little differently when your child comes home and you want to make new spaces, but hold on. Don't abandon everything because again, later that's just gonna lead to more resentment about your child being there and all the things you've given up about yourself. So don't abandon yourself. Don't abandon all those routines.
No, and I love that. Like I say, my Friday morning tennis is non-negotiable. And just a fun tip that does work. If you have flexibility in some of your schedule, what I did to make myself less stressed or that feeling of I don't want them to take away from my time and I really wanted to get this done. I looked at my schedule. Here's the thing. Your kids are going to sleep all morning, right? They don't get up until 1, 2 in the afternoon. So if you can shift the majority of your quiet time and your time, if you can and have the flexibility, just free up a couple of things in the late afternoon or early evening. And if they end up not being there, then you have this welcome free time. That helps too, to really look ahead at your schedule and plan a little bit, but not abandon and not cancel everything. Just plan a little bit for yourself.
And I also want to say this. You and I haven't talked about this before, but I think it's a really important point. Our children are always watching us to understand how to be in the world, right? They're either accepting, rejecting, but they're paying attention. And I know as a mother of two daughters, one of my biggest goals was to make sure that they really learned how to value self-care. That they were not like so many moms that I saw and some parts of me at times that were so self-sacrificing that they gave up. I want my kids to really understand the importance of holding on and claiming those things that are for your own mental, spiritual, physical well-being. And so by holding on, by not abandoning those things that you've claimed as important, you're conveying a really important message.
Great point. Absolutely. They're always learning. They might not tell us they're paying attention, but we know they are. Awesome. All right, this is a big one. Trying to grab their attention and win their affection by doing their laundry, cooking their meals, cleaning their room, you know, and the big one, making plans for them with their grandparents, with their aunts, with their uncles. It's it's it can be dangerous. It can be dangerous.
It is. I mean, I think there's a couple pieces here, and when we say, like and I think of it as don't try to win their affection, win their love, win their attention, because in our minds, I think there's this sneaky thing going on for us lots of times that we don't admit, that we're, like, seeking a quid pro quo, right? Like, that I'm gonna do all these things, and what I'm gonna get back is like, "Oh, well, thank you, mom," and, "Oh, I'm so glad to be home, mom," and, "Oh, it's so wonderful to be back in my house," right? In our minds, let's be honest, "Oh, if I do the laundry, I bake their favorite cookies, I do all those things," that we're gonna end up receiving all of that back, and I will tell you, if you don't, you would not be the first mom to feel disappointed, hurt,
Yeah.
unappreciated because look at all I'm doing. So don't fall into the trap. If you're choosing to do things because you're choosing to do them, this is the kind of environment I wanna create when my kid comes home, great. But be very aware that you are not falling into this trap of doing it to try to win their affection because guaranteed it will send you
Yes.
plummeting into the pit of despair and feeling unappreciated and hurt.
No, absolutely. And I love how you said it's not wrong to do those things. It feels good to be that mom again, to have that mom like purpose that we all feel like we've lost as our kids leave the home. And yet do it without any expectation. Do it because it makes you feel good doing it. I would actually caution going into the room and cleaning the room. I would absolutely caution that that's an invasion of privacy. I'm just saying, there was a that was a big source of contention between me and my daughter, the room. I just, whenever she was home, I just said, shut your door. But and with an expectation of how it was expected to look when she left. So she had 4 weeks to do whatever she wanted to do, but when she left, it needed to be X way. So yeah, so I like that because there's nothing wrong with wanting to do their laundry. There's nothing wrong with wanting to cater to them and make them feel nurtured and caring, and yet just make sure you're not doing it for a certain response, and you'll set yourself up for it. You said this once for disappointment. You said, when you have expectations, we did a whole episode once on expectations, a talk. When you have expectations and the other person is not aware of your expectations, that leaves you where? In
Suffering.
the valley of suffering. So, yeah, we don't want you in the valley of suffering, moms. All right. Last one. This is a big one. Plan making. You're making all these plans with every family member, with you, with movie night, with dinner night. It's a dangerous slippery slope that leads to the expectation part of this. So, what would you like to talk to the audience about that?
Yeah, I think there's 2 pieces in this. Is one is you may be anticipating and having time to spend thinking about what's gonna happen when your child's coming home. 1, you've got higher levels of executive functioning probably. 2, you might have more time in your hands. 3, this is something that's, front and center in your mind. Your kids, let's remember, are in the middle of finals and they're finishing out their semester, and it is the very last thing from their mind as to all of this. And so we end up with kind of 2 issues. Is one is we overplan and then our kids come home and they're like, "No, what I really wanna do is be with my friends," or, "I've got a totally different idea about things." So then maybe we try to go this path of engaging them. Well, let's have conversations and make plans. And here we are with kids who are studying in their finals and getting ready to pack up their room and doing all these things, and we want to engage them in plan making,
Yeah.
and they're not there. And so let's be really mindful. Let's not do it. Let's not engage in this, oh my gosh, urgency. And, trust that there'll be time to sit with our kids and make plans and not put them through that pressure.
Yeah, I know. So those are our 4 what not to do's, which actually lead right into a rapid fire of like what to do. They really do lead. If
Yeah.
you if you lead with what not to do, you're gonna know naturally what to do. But we're gonna spell it out for you because we're all about moms. We're all about you moms. We want you to have the best experience. So one thing that you talk about what to do is to expect your child to be tired and they need to crash when they get home, right? I remember I just walked in, dropped everything, and then I didn't see them for almost 24 full hours because they were just sleeping off. So expect your child to be tired. Let them crash. Don't be worried about them. Don't be sitting there staring at their bedroom door, seeing it, when they're going to come out. Let them have because when you're tired, we all know you're cranky. So nothing's good's going to happen if you wake them up and tell them it's time to get up because it's really not their time to get up. They're on a totally different schedule than we are, right?
Yep.
Acceptance.
Absolutely. So expect them to be tired, expect them to crash, or expect them to say dump, and then they've gone out with their best friend because there was all these text messages that said there's a party at somebody's house tonight, and you're standing there wondering, what about me? So let's try not to have expectation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Expect that they're going to want to catch up with their friends. They miss their home. Yes, they've made some friendships in 4 months, but these are the people that know how they feel the minute they walk through the front door of the room. These are the people that most of them have been together since like preschool. So expect that they're going to catch up with their friends and be supportive of that. And then I like what you say to do after the exhaustion is worn off and they've gotten their rest. You make a very good suggestion. What would that be for the mom out there?
Then that's a good time to have a conversation about scheduling a few of those special moments with a family, right? If they're going to be home for 4 or 6 weeks, be conscious of how much you're trying to claim, but ask yourself, if we get 3 special moments, whether that is the traditional movie night or the going to the show or the watching a football game or something the way we used to. Hold your expectations to a reasonable level, but then have a conversation and plan those for those special moments so that when they're planning with their friends and when they're doing all these other things, that at least you can have agreed that these are the things we're gonna, separate out, we're gonna make sacred for us. And then, what would they like to do? And make sure it goes both ways. What are the things that are really important to them? Ask them. Let's have those conversations.
Yeah, don't have surprises. Just say, because they probably have made plans with their friends. Remember, we're out of the loop. They have direct communication through texting and all that fun stuff. So, yeah, so just, after they slept, discuss the boundary. No, that's what I'm saying. Look, it's important to see your grandparents. We all know that. And they love their grandparents. And I'm like, so these are the days that are good for grandma, grandpa. Will these work for you? Let's get it down. And we work it out. And it really did go really well for us when I realized that they were, you know, going to see their friends. They had all these plans. And yet I was able within the first 24 to 48 hours after they slept a little bit to really make the plan. So that's great. And then I like how you write that. You say rejoice. Rejoice in a few special and you use and only that you can say so beautifully. Rejoice in a few special and mindfully planned shared moments and let go of needing all of them.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the part about, it's not everything, it's not having so much need, but like let yourself have the deliciousness of rejoicing. Like, okay, we're going to have like these things. Anything else is a bonus and a cherry on top. But then when you have those, really, really allow yourself to rejoice in them. I think one of the things that I see is that so much tension can arise when kids come home because of the things that they've done that were on the don't do list or the things that they didn't do that are on the do list. And then even the special moments can't really be enjoyed as special because
Yeah.
we're not allowing ourselves to let go of other things. So hold things lightly, let go easily, and then let yourself really sink in and enjoy the moments that are special.
Love that. I love that. And I think that's a perfect place to go into. You know what happens next. You don't get out of beyond empty nest without a dare. We have to give our audience, our moms, a dare. So, what is the dare for our moms from this episode?
Well, I actually am going to go with two dares. So, moms, if you're brave enough, here's two dares.
So that's a
One
dare and a
dare
double, by the way.
Right, here's a dare and a double dare. So, the dare is let's make the dare the dare is I'm daring you to identify, even right after you've listened to this episode, your non-negotiable routine. Like Jody said, for her, it was tennis. For me, it was an exercise routine that I had. What is at least one non-negotiable that you have? That's your first dare.
Love that.
The double dare, and this is a big ask, but the double dare is to stay mindful of the big picture, right? This is not just about your needs and hopes and expectations, but is to see the bigger picture and recognize that you have needs, your family has needs, and your child has needs. So the double dare, can you have hold all of that in your perspective and not get sucked into the vortex of your own needs and wants? Double dare.
That's a hard one. That's a good one, but you can do it. We know you can do it. That's why we have this episode to help you, to support you. So listen to this as many times as you need. I'm also going to link in the show notes below the link, the episode of Emptiness Grief is Real and the 3 strategies that Adina has shared with us on how to navigate that. Because here's the other part of navigating when they come home, they do leave again. Emptiness, the beginning stages of emptiness is a lot of they're home again, they're gone again, they're home again, they're gone again. So use that episode to help you better prepare for that sadness that's going to set in a little bit. There's joy as well. It's like good to have them home, good when they leave, but you will feel the emotions again of, oh gosh, the house is quiet. And again, so please, I'll link that episode below. Adina, thank you so much for joining me for this important conversation. Um, yeah, no, it's just, motherhood is amazing. It's one of the best jobs we'll ever have. You haven't lost it. It's just shifted and changed. And hopefully, Adina's and my conversation will help you all. So thank you, Adina.
Oh, well, thank you, Jody. Yes. And I think it's just great to have this community where people can come together, be thinking about some of the things that are really important, at this stage of motherhood. So thank you for everything you do.
Hey, you're welcome. And as always, Emery, you know what I'm going to say if you've been listening to this since the beginning. Leave us a comment. Let us know how this episode resonated with you. Our goal is that you take one takeaway, one strategy, one tip, one aha moment from every episode of Beyond Empty Nest. Let us know by leaving us a comment, a review, and this episode in particular, share it with one mom friend. Share it with your BFF so that she too can best prepare for and have an amazing experience welcoming her son or daughter home for the holidays. And as I always say, dare
Dare
on.
on.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Beyond Empty Nest. Head over to jodysilverman.com for our full show notes, more information, and additional resources to support you through empty nest and midlife. And if you've enjoyed today's show and are ready to embrace this midlife chapter, then you must take the Happy for No Reason quiz. When you take the quiz, you'll discover what your happiness set point is and how you can increase it and continue to strengthen it. This is just one key to navigating life transitions and discovering your most fulfilled and daring life. So go ahead, click the link below and take the quiz now. I'll see you next Thursday. Dare on.